Everyone else needed 7 days to earn 1 stat point. Jang Foam entered the sanctuary, carrying a starting advantage, measured in the billions. At Qing Lan Academy, one awakening ceremony decided whether an 18-year-old could survive humanity's war against the abyss. His public result looked useful for money, but almost worthless in direct combat. Secretly, Midas Touch could convert monster corpses into gold. Attributes, skill points, talents, and permanent enhancements. The unique SSS-rank gift made him only the third person in human history to reach that tier. Jang Foam hid the truth, chose the name Sovereign, and entered alone before assassins could learn what he possessed. His first kills confirmed that every corpse could push him farther, beyond ordinary awakened limits. More than a dozen students ahead of him had already gone inside, and most had received D or C rank talents. One awakened a B rank talent that enhanced physical strength and was immediately escorted to a separate area by an admissions officer. Whether a person could enter a combat class, challenge high-level instances, or even survive the next demon tide, could all begin to diverge from this single moment. They determined not only a person's growth ceiling, but also whether that person might one day qualify to fight the abyssal race. Stay conscious and follow the system's instructions. After a brief sensation of weightlessness, the training field vanished before his eyes. Transmute a monster's corpse to receive an equal amount of gold. Disappointment had barely begun to rise in him when the system prompts suddenly became urgent. Once unlocked, Midas Touch may be used on a wider range of targets, including bosses, and will yield greater rewards. Yet, the source of the blessing was nothing but question marks, and no public register of deities mentioned any flame goddess. Humanity had survived the Great War against the abyssal race only because of those two people. An economic talent isn't suited for solo combat, so don't try to show off when you choose your class later. A hidden ability disguised as an A-rank talent was neither too high nor too low. An SS rank target was worth 20 billion, and the reward could even be replaced with an equally valuable rare treasure. Jang Foam would enter the sanctuary, verify Midas Touch as quickly as possible, and turn its potential into real power. In a party, every unusual reward would create one more person who knew about it. As soon as he returned home and finished dinner, he connected to the magic tower with his mind. It pierced the clouds like a black pillar, holding up the sky, its summit hidden year-round behind lightning. Once the account was established, 5 basic classes appeared before him. A red potion restored 5 health per second, while a blue potion restored 5 mana per second, and both lasted only 4 seconds. The instance required players to survive for as long as possible, with the quality of the final treasure chest determined by the number of kills. The important treasure he needed could only be found on the highest difficulty. Not far away, a sandworm nearly 3 feet long churned through the sand. The sandworm turned slowly, but its attack range extended beyond the length of its body, and sand spray could inflict blindness. It had only half its health left, but it was already within a few paces. His final magic missile blew the sandworm apart, but his health plunged from 100 to 37. His health did not continue falling, which meant sand spray dealt damage only once, and inflicted neither bleeding nor burning. That first clash had cost him dearly, but it gave him information more valuable than the kill itself. You have gained 1 skill point and 1 free attribute point. Combined with the point from leveling, he placed both death into spirit, raising it from 10 to 12. An ordinary player training on normal difficulty might still be only level 3 after half a month. As his health slowly recovered, a faint white countdown ring remained on the corpse, showing that the instance gave players a brief gathering window. Receiving 3 from his very first transmutation proved that this SSS-rank talent was far more than a way to make money. The damage had risen to more than triple its original value, while the cooldown and mana cost both fell. They did not attack immediately. Jang Foam tested 1 step to the left, and the 2 outermost sand trails immediately moved to seal his escape route. Jang Foam sprinted toward it at full speed, planted his feet against its rough trunk, and climbed to higher ground. The first magic missile stripped 180 health from 1 sandworm. Magic missile also reached level 6, increasing its damage to 228, enough to instantly kill a death sandworm with 200 health. Jang Foam used Midas Touch on the sandworm that had just fallen. After he placed all 7 points into Spirit, the attribute rose from 13 to 20, and the damage of his level 6 magic missile leaped from 228 to 350. Jang Foam aimed the next one lower, level with the tree roots. One monster after another was wiped up before the dead tree could collapse. The killing streak raised him from level 3 to level 6, granting 3 skill points and 3 free attribute points. Every flash of golden light changed his body in a different way. Midas Touch did not merely write a string of numbers onto his status screen. When he stood and ran toward the next dune, the distance under his feet seemed less than half as long as he remembered. Attributes from the sanctuary synchronized with reality, which also meant that every movement he made after returning to school might expose something abnormal. Jang Foam put the 3 free attribute points from leveling, and the 14 from Midas Touch and a Spirit. Attributes: Constitution 22, Spirit 50, Strength 19, Agility 30, Luck 1. Every number could be recalculated from the levels and transmutation rewards he had just gained. One person had already died twice and lost 2,000 gold, while the second-ranked player was only level 2. White Bell. He had been grinding on normal for 2 hours, and he was only halfway through level 1. Anyone leveling that fast isn't going to publish the route. For the moment, no one connected his progress to the Midas Touch talent. But as long as Midas Touch remained publicly listed as a rank, people would attribute his progress to luck or combat skill at most. A blue orb the size of a basketball slammed into it and dealt 2,005 damage, instantly reducing its health bar to roughly 1/3. Jang Foam sidestepped in advance, yet the shockwave still shoved him back 2 steps. If Magic Missile still had its original on a second cooldown, he would never have killed it before its second attack. It never even had the chance to get close before its massive body crumbled into a heap of sand and stone. As long as he had enough mana, the ordinary monsters in Death Desert would struggle to threaten him again. It went directly into his account while the system generated a traceable record of instance income. Mages had to keep buying equipment, potions, and spellcasting items, making them the most expensive of the 5 basic classes to develop. The skill point increased Magic Missile to level 16, raising its damage per cast from 200 to 2,168. Jang Foam kept more than 30 feet of distance at all times and approached to activate Midas Touch, only after confirming that no new trails had appeared around the corpse. When the second corpse fell, it crushed the opening shut. Looking at the new attribute points in his account, he was no longer satisfied with hunting isolated targets. Spirit could continue raising his damage, but Constitution determined whether he could survive a boss's first attack until he saw the boss's actual attributes. It rose from 51 to 64, and the theoretical damage of his level 16 Magic Missile increased from 2,168 to 2,720. Ordinary monsters had extremely low item drop rates, and this area of effect skill filled a gap in his arsenal perfectly. Jang Foam did not rush to invest points in the new skill, using Luminous Roar to lower all their health first, then finishing them with Magic Missile would be safer than pursuing single-target damage alone. The confirmation window vanished, and the instance exit sealed at the same time. Several dark chains wrapped its shoulders, and every step it took left a scorched black mark. Dying in a novice instance did not cost equipment, but it did cost 1,000 gold, and he could not enter another instance until he resurrected. The risk was manageable, but that did not mean he could fight carelessly. If he kept the boss outside its own attack range, he might be able to kite away all 80,000 health. At the same time, his 640 mana fell by 5 with every shot. The Death Lord roared and charged through the attacks, while he retreated in sync, keeping the distance between them at roughly 165 feet. Jang Foam began concentrating his shots on its knee joints and unarmored abdomen, using the more reliable stagger to cancel its forward charge. With only 30 agility, his body was instantly locked in place by an invisible force, and a negative Thestissa icon of entangling vines appeared in the upper right corner of his vision. The Death Lord had already drawn its chains back, clearly preparing to enter attack range within those 3 seconds. Blue orbs hammered the same leg over and over, shoving it back the instant it managed half a step forward. When the 30-con Magic Missile struck, the Death Lord's remaining health reached 0, and its enormous body crashed into the sand. The entire battle had consumed 160 mana, reducing his total from 640 to 480. Its control skill had hit him, but it failed to create even one effective attack window. When the golden lights of successive level-ups flashed, His first reaction was not to look down at his status screen. If the Death Lord had left behind any summons, the easiest moment to ambush a player would be when the rewards drew that player's attention. Permanent mana regeneration would not only improve his ability to fight continuously, but also eliminate a long-term expense. His mana climbed steadily from 480 to 486, then 492, while the drained magical energy inside him rapidly refilled. As long as he did not continuously spam high-cost area attacks, ordinary combat would now struggle to empty his mana bar. Only then did he realize that a legendary treasure chest was not a private reward quietly placed into his inventory. Jang Foam wanted to grow stronger without attracting attention. But the world's first clear announcement had placed Sovereign in front of everyone. Some offered to buy the strategy. Others claimed to manage major clubs, and one unfamiliar account sent only 4 words. They are prepared to offer Sovereign their highest-tier contract. Until he identified the sender, he could not dismiss either possibility. Yet, the account was a newly created Level 1 alternate. Jang Foam closed the chat interface and inspected the rewards that had actually reached his hands. Jang Foam immediately gripped the return talisman and did not complete the binding until the system confirmed there was no mental contamination. The Death Lord's already cracked skin rapidly collapsed as its blood stretched into dozens of fine threads in midair. 3,200 drops of boss blood collected and converted into 3,200 true damage. That additional 3,200 damage alone had already elevated every one of his attacks to another level. Jang Foam first spent 4 to raise mana recovery from level 6 to level 10, increasing its regeneration from 6 to 10 mana per second. Magic Missile rose from level 16 to level 31, transforming its damage, mana cost, and output efficiency at the same time. Luminous Roar filled the gap in group fights, and only then did the remaining points strengthen his single target attack. Whatever enemy awaited in the class advancement trial, he now had the initiative to choose how he fought it. The system allowed him to disable an item's visible appearance, saving him one more layer of explanations. Only after seeing that separate calculation did he truly know that the legendary reward, bought with the Death Lord's life, now belonged entirely to him. After adding the Blood Rinker pendants, 3,200 true damage, the total effect of a single attack surpassed 10,000. Jang Foam did not need to rush into an abyssal den outside JoJo immediately by continuing to challenge suitable instances. If a teammate gathered a corpse first, or it refrescent away, he would receive no credit. The system displayed no recommended party, and did not allow the route to be copied, which meant the certificate holder had to complete the trial alone. Jang Foam tried writing the coordinates onto his private map, but the save button immediately grayed out. Jang Foam checked the red and blue potions, returned talisman and blood rinker pendant one by one, before putting the certificate away. When he returned to the sanctuary's public zone, friend requests, club invitations, and private messages already crowded the interface. They had no combat footage and could only work backward from the 32 damage calculations. Total clear time and mana remaining at the end. The more people tried to investigate Sovereign, the greater the risk that his real identity would be exposed. Whenever he changed his angle, a thin golden line corrected itself at once. Entering with a little over 3,000 gold, and no supplies would mean treating the luck from one treasure chest as though it were unlimited. Not long after he exited the instance, several major clubs, corporate families, and government agencies began publicly searching for Sovereign. The more people exaggerated his potential, the more likely the abyssal race was to mark him as a target that had to be eliminated. The system blocked the requests, but it could not determine whether clubs, government agencies, or assassins stood behind them. The instance lay along a national border, and the teleportation array that would be relocated into JoJo promised to become an important resource for strengthening the nation. The precision of those attacks made it highly likely that someone inside JoJo was selling intelligence to the abyssal race. More dangerously, after decades of recovery, the abyssal dens had regained their strength. No one knew his real name, but the enemy had already begun narrowing the field from more than 5,000 newly awakened. The final system notification he received came directly from Geo's counter-infiltration center. The interface requested confirmation 3 times, while he disabled location access. Yet, for the first time, he carefully checked the hallway lock and every window. Jang Foam also had to ensure that no single pair of eyes ever saw Jang Fong and Sovereign at the same time. The person who completed it would receive not only 1 billion, but also one bloodline modification. Jang Foam had no idea the danger had already reached inside the academy. When he exited the magic tower, his apartment remained exactly as he had left it, but the golden brand on his arm was clearer than it had been that morning. That meant if his identity were exposed, the enemy would not limit its attacks to the game. A damage score of 100 earns eligibility for Mage class advancement. His classmates attacked the training dummy one after another. You may apply to a top-tier combat academy. Skill damage was calculated in full under the game's rules, but in reality, he could control his output. After the orb stabilized, he disabled the Blood Rinker pendant completely since technique could conceal 3,200 true damage. You may collect an application form for the Divine Beast armies. His skill gained a level last night. Since his public talent was only a rank, others were more likely to assume he had found a damage-boosting item in the novice instance. It earned him eligibility without directly matching Sovereign's first clear record. The 4 Divine Beast armies taught water, wind, fire, and earth magic, respectively. The strategies and combat records he left at Vermilion Bird Academy also made its fire magic system the most complete. Students from Black Tortoise used an earthen wall to stop a demon tide. When the application form reached him, he wrote Vermilion Bird Academy without hesitation. Bring all your enrollment documents tomorrow and report to Vermilion Bird Academy. They'll divide the classes again once you're inside. Don't force yourself into an unsuitable instance just to compete with combat talents on the rankings. Its basic resources for 1 year cost more than everything their entire senior class uses. Sun Fei did not know how much he had hidden, yet he still offered him the most ordinary congratulations. What he truly anticipated was not anyone's opinion of his 300-point damage score, but the high-level first skills held by Vermilion Bird Academy. Magic Missile gave him high-speed single-target damage, and the Blood Rinker pendant added true damage that ignored defense. The admission code would not activate until the following day, leaving tonight free for the hidden class trial. Only later, when the Crimson Blood Army investigated the information leak, did he confirm that Qing Lan Academy truly had an internal problem. By controlling his damage that day, he had unknowingly avoided a round of precision killings. Anyone killed and returned to the city, or anyone who used a city return scroll, would also reappear here. Shops selling weapons, equipment, gems, spirit pets, potions, and general goods lined the streets. The shopkeeper, whose player name was Little Geo, recommended level 10 gold rank potions. There are plenty of cheap potions in the ancient city, but one missing digit in the recovery amount can get you killed. She had seen the unactivated certificate in his hand, yet did not ask about its class rank. Jang Foam purchased 3 red potions and 2 blue potions for a total of 3,100 gold, leaving only 131 in his inventory. Jang Foam don't own any equipment that needs repairing yet. Converting his funds into definite survival windows was more valuable than holding any balance beyond the remaining 100 or so gold. Jang Foam took out the hidden class advancement certificate and activated it. The page instantly shattered into golden motes, and a teleportation force dragged him from the ancient city into darkness. Locate the Eternal Mentor and complete your hidden class advancement. Class crests from the 1st tier through the 8th tier were carved into the floor at intervals of roughly 30 feet. As long as your spirit has reached 80, you can pass the trial and become an 8th tier class holder. A class inheritance tests your capacity to bear it. A golden curtain descended from the temple's ceiling, and his class information refreshed line after line. Jang Foam clenched his teeth and did not move until the 8th class crest beneath him lit completely. From this moment onward, every level he gained would grant 7 times more growth than a basic class. An 8th tier class received 8 free attribute points with every level, rather than the basic class's 1. Jang Foam was already level 12, so the system compensated the missing difference of 7 points for every previous level, producing exactly 84 points. Eternal Mage grew through both spirit and health, perfectly amplifying Midas Touch and the Bloodrinker pendant. Every attack adds magical damage equal to character level, times 1% of the user's maximum health, and applies Scorch. The higher his level and constitution became, the more terrifying this passive, which required no extra mana, would grow. High attack speed could not burn a boss to death through unlimited stacks, but the effect ensured that damage continued whenever he repositioned. Sovereign level 12, class Eternal Mage, health 320/320 mana 1, 831, 830 talent Midas Touch. The legendary class was his, but every equipment slot other than the pendant remained empty, and he had only 131 gold left. JoJo Ancient Cities instances were divided into solo, party, legion, regional, and world levels, and still offered 5 difficulties, from easy to terror. The highest regular instance he could challenge was the level 10 Frost Temple. Jang Foam placed a gold rank red potion in his quick bar, but did not drink it in advance. The tall blonde man threatened him with a raised fist first, while the green-haired woman beside him taunted him into attacking. This is a shared instance, not your territory. The green-haired woman circled behind him, the short blade in her hand already glowing with skill light. Once another player attacked first, he had no reason to expose his back to 2 openly hostile people. Neither player had even 3,000 maximum health. Level 18 player pause shilling slain, 988 EXP gain. The Bloodrinker pendant absorbed 33 and 34 drops of blood from their corpses respectively, raising its progress from 3,200 to 3,267, and its corresponding true damage to 3. Jang Foam kept the 4 skill points unassigned, and planned to distribute them after Frost Temple settlement. Crusader Helmet, level 15 gold rank, universal equipment, defense, plus 28 strength plus 15. Neither suited a mage, but he could sell them after leaving the instance. The monsters that would truly affect his instance rating still waited ahead. If either player tried to accuse him of robbery, the system's hostile markers and voice logs were enough to reconstruct who attacked first. Its back faced a section of icy cliff, and no other hostile markers surrounded it. Attack 16,523. Physical magical defense, 7,527. Deborah, physical magical skills. Heavy hammer level 11 roar, level 5 before it could lock onto him. The skill damage, 3,267 true damage, and the bonus from Eternal Power were all calculated at once. An 8th tier class multiplied not only the free attributes gained per level by 8, but the skill points as well. Aerial attacks were useful for clearing grunts, but high-frequency focused damage and stagger were still what prevented powerful targets from closing in. Further upgrades not only raised its attack, but also reduced each shot's mana cost to 2. Jang Foam absorbed 38 drops of blood from the Frost Behemoth, raising blood progress to 335. Just as he started to rise, a bank of snow suddenly collapsed from the icy cliff and buried half the beast's body. You may exit immediately and receive a gold treasure chest, or forfeit this reward and continue the challenge. The torch illuminated only a small area, and the eagle did not enter his targeting frame on its first pass. Jang Foam heard nothing but wings slicing through the snowstorm and rolled sideways behind a chunk of ice. Jang Foam fired a level 43 magic missile before it entered attack range. The eagle lost all its health instantly and granted 6,351. Even after a diving monster died, the impact from its speed could still injure a low health mage. After the corpse disappeared, a cluster of golden light remained in the snow. Jang Foam equipped it in an empty accessory slot, raising spirit from 209 to 229, and adding another 500 to his maximum health. The equipment description mentioned no cold resistance, so he did not treat the sensation as a confirmed effect, and still read his torch. Blue Heartgrass level 5, gold rank material. His base health, therefore, became 520, and after adding the frost pendants 500, his maximum health reached 1,020. Permanent attribute materials of the same type could not be used twice. If he sold it only for money, no amount of future gold could buy back his first use eligibility. When he entered the temple, the instance rating rose to S-rank, and the system offered to settle the run with a platinum treasure chest. Their health and dual defenses far exceeded those of the monsters on the snowfield, and they had charge and bite, respectively. The level 19 wolf had to circle the pillar, while the level 181 entered his range first. By the time the first wolf fell, the second had already rounded the pillar. Level 18 snowfield, ice wolf slain. Together with the Death Lord, all 3 monsters had been recognized by the system as corrupted creatures. If Midas Touch granted more skill points or attributes, planning everything together would avoid repeated adjustments during the same battle. Jang Foam accelerated the blood absorption and transmutation, so he would not still be trapped in a settlement interface when the unknown enemy approached. Jang Foam put the 8 free attribute points from leveling into Spirit, raising it from 229 to 237. As long as no negative status suppressed mana regeneration, his core single-target output could now sustain itself indefinitely. 23 mana regenerated per second already covered the cost, allowing him to save the blue potions for more dangerous burst phases. The third would always provide the best reward. Try to steal them, and the Guardian, and he will attack you together. When he saw that he stayed still, he rushed to open the blue chest. The shield blocked most of the impact, yet the remaining damage nearly emptied his health. Jang Foam threw a red potion toward him after the first hit, but the bottle struck the ice without the system registering its use. Jang Foam retreated immediately to avoid the next skills area. The system's mutation notice also proved this was no ordinary level up, but a reinforcement mechanism triggered by a player's death. A blue potion was already in his quick bar, and mana recovery remained active. The true race was not against its total health, but against the single second before it completed its turn and launched its first frost strike. Its magical defense had doubled to 260, but that could not stop skill damage above 20,000, combined with 3,479 true damage. Jang Foam had not yet obtained a shield, and could only prevent the attack through damage output. Jang Foam first absorbed 122 drops of blood from the corpse, raising blood progress to 361. And after adding the frost pendants, 500, his maximum health rose to 1,400. Jang Foam kept the 8 free attribute points from leveling unassigned until he could decide their use before the instance boss fight. Effect after a magical attack hits, absorb 10% of the actual total magical damage, and convert it into health recovery. Even so, a magic missile dealing more than 20,000 damage could restore several thousand health, already more than his current maximum of 1,400. As long as an attack landed, ordinary injuries could be healed almost instantly. Each level increased the shield capacity, while its duration and mana consumption remained unchanged for now. That was enough to let him survive one unknown boss skill multiplier before deciding whether to continue. Jang Foam had not assumed guaranteed best reward meant mage equipment. When he left the cellar, he possessed a platinum staff, a 435-point shield, 1,400 health, and 23 mana regeneration per second. Jang Foam had only one complete opportunity to learn from a mistake in the boss fight. When he left the ice cellar, his instance rating rose to SS. If he withdrew after acquiring those abilities, every danger before this point would have purchased only half the possible reward. Rank Rare Attack 1, 500-800, Physical Magical Defense, 650-750. Physical Magical Skills, Freeze level 50, Ice Sculpture level 42, Frost Bomb level 30. Jang Foam chose the passage on the right and used 2 of those columns to block the boss's direct line of sight. His 435-point shield was reduced to roughly 146, but his health remained untouched for the moment. Without the shield, his health would have been erased in the same volley. While the dense impacts prevented her ice-sculpted body from advancing steadily, the Abyss Staff's life steal had triggered. That detail reminded him that life steal restored only health. It could not replenish a shield. The remaining shield absorbed roughly 146 first, while the other 1,300 fell onto his health, leaving him with only about 100. Jang Foam did not wait for the next skill. The second barrage of magic missiles cut through the icy mist and struck the already wounded boss again and again. Only after the system removed ice sculpture did he realize that his fingers gripping the staff were nearly too stiff to open. If his second burst had been half a second slower, the roughly 100 health remaining would not have survived to the settlement. And now the boss's true rewards were only beginning to arrive. Jang Foam had conquered 2 terror instances in succession within a single day, and the assassination bounty on him rose from 1 billion to 5 billion. Jang Foam disabled location sharing again and set his instance records to display only his player name. You have gained a total of 24 skill points and 24 free attribute points. After adding the 25 skill points from the clear reward, he had 49 in total. But Magic Shield had just blocked 4,159 points of fatal damage for him, as boss levels continued rising. If it reached level 80, The duration would increase to 23 seconds, and the cooldown would fall to 22. Theoretically, allowing uninterrupted maintenance. Jang Foam still had 8 unassigned free attribute points from reaching level 15 together, with the 24 from the latest 3 levels. Jang Foam absorbed 4,800 drops of blood from it, raising blood progress from 36,001 to 84,001, and increasing his true damage to 841 as well. Every time the heart contracted, dark red threads of blood passed through the ice and entered the pendant, until the heart finally lost all its light. As the chest opened, the ice element around the throne was drawn into its lock before transforming into a blue and white skill book, splitting the enemy formation and blocking attacks. If he had possessed it during the boss battle, he would not have needed to absorb Frost Bomb with a single shield alone. An attack exceeding its durability limit could shatter it early, while casting it where a physical body already stood might push the target in an unexpected direction. Ice Wall near his defensive skills, and the Thunder Spell beside Luminous Roar, so he would not select the wrong one in an emergency. Heavenly Thunderstrike Level 1 summons Heavenly Lightning to attack a group, dealing 3,190 magical damage and stunning targets for 1 second, combined with Magic Shield and 23 mana regeneration per second. His combat system no longer depended on a single stream of high-speed attacks. Jang Foam had to report to Vermilion Bird Academy the next day, so tonight was the perfect opportunity to continue accumulating attributes and Midas Touch progress inside Frost Temple. Staying would not improve the clear reward, but he could use his remaining potions and full skill set to continue exploring. Even a bronze rank pet could sell for tens of thousands of gold, while platinum pets usually began at 10 million. Jang Foam needed to lower its health first. Then he followed with 2 precisely controlled magic missiles, pushing its health into the danger zone without killing it. At full damage, either shot might pass through the capture threshold and kill it outright. Jang Foam put away his staff and held out one hand, so it could recognize the contract's aura. Rather than mount immediately, he first used the system-provided pet recovery function to return it to a safe state. The dragon steed bent its front legs to let him approach, and the contract light sealed the wounds from their battle. The next second, the Snowfield Dragon steed appeared beside him again, and the system displayed its riding bonuses. Mounting Snowfield Dragon steed increases all character attributes by 4% and movement speed by 150%. The weariness from their newly formed contract had not disappeared entirely. When he relaxed and transmitted direction through the contract alone, its steps quickly stabilized. The faster he charged, the greater the price of crashing into a control skill. The bonus recalculated from current base and equipment attributes rather than providing a fixed on-time value. The skill damage 841. True damage and eternal power brought the combined effect of 2 attacks close to 70,000. Jang Foam absorbed 68 drops of blood, raising blood progress to 8,469. The mount's percentage bonus recalculated with the new attribute, further increasing his movement and evasion. Higher attributes expanded the limits of his control. Level 18-2 Snowfield Ice Wolves and Frost Behemoths occupied the ground, while a level 25 Platinum Ice Crystal Phoenix circled overhead. Jang Foam needed to use the mount to draw the outer wolves toward the center before choosing the control point. What he wanted to test was whether his newly acquired group control area damage and ice wall could form a complete cycle. Jang Foam swept along the pack's edge once, baiting 2 wolves into charging early, then used the dragon steed speed to lead them back near the behemoths. When every target was finally compressed within 90 yards, he swung down, ordered the dragon steed beyond spell range, and kept it out of the area attack. As the lightning exploded, he was already preparing his next skill. His vision turned entirely white for an instant, forcing him to place the second skill according to the formation he had memorized. The system showed only a small reduction in shield capacity, but his arm felt the true weight of the collision. The 2 area attacks did not clear the field outright, but they lowered the different monster types together. Jang Foam rose first to level 19, then level 20, gaining a total of 16 skill points and 16 free attribute points. Jang Foam pushed them to the edge of his vision, and kept only health, shield, and control countdowns visible. Ice wolves and behemoths pressed from the ground, while the Ice Crystal Phoenix dived from above. White light grazed his left shoulder, reducing level 58 magic shield only slightly. The targets that struck its core took more than 2,000 damage, while those touching the edges suffered a lower impact. The instant its head appeared, Magic Missile killed it. Heavenly Thunderstrike's 12-second cooldown was almost over, and the ice wall was keeping the monsters densely packed. Instead, he used Magic Blink to shift sideways beside the wall. His mana remained nearly full, and more than half the shield capacity remained. A high-frequency barrage of magic missiles then swept across the blocked front line, one target at a time. His level rose from 20 all the way to 25. Together with the rewards from reaching levels 19 and 20 moments earlier. Level up light flashed repeatedly, and the lightness brought by rising attributes continued to stack. Only after confirming that the final monster was dead did he dismiss the ice wall and absorb blood from the corpses one by one. It lowered its head to sniff, then recoiled as if stung by the scent of blood. The battlefield was bitterly cold, but blood remained available until the corpse refresh. The pendant displayed each new amount and the cumulative total, ensuring that no corpse was counted twice. Only now did the true value of the corpses begin to emerge. Jang Foam processed the corrupted targets needed for quest progress first. Ordinary drops second, and the Ice Wolves with less blood last. Ice Wall Fortress stopped the counterattack, and Magic Missile performed the precise cleanup. Heavenly Thunder provided only 1 second of control, so any hesitation in casting would allow the front line to recover. Multiple corpses remained unprocessed before him, and the attributes, skill points, and drops he had just received still needed a complete accounting. Rather than inspect his attributes first, he immediately searched the battlefield, so the loot would not become available for public pickup. The system displayed an item's exact name only when he came within 5 yards. Archer skill, explosive arrow, warrior skill, mountain cleaver, and the gold rank advanced item, fruit of the Tree of Life. The system stated that a person could consume it only once in a lifetime. Fruit of the Tree of Life permanently increases health by 4,600 when consumed. Tens of millions of gold or more could buy a full set of level 20 to 30 equipment. One-time wealth could be earned again, while permanent health would strengthen both his survival and eternal power. If a new monster found him while he was unable to move, any reward would become a burden. After the system replenished the newly added portions, once, he still needed to adapt to the stronger feedback from Eternal Power. Every attack from Eternal Power added magical damage equal to 25% of his maximum health, or roughly 1,623, while Scorch dealt about 324 per second. The fruit not only made him harder to kill instantly, but raised the passive damage of every attack by an entire tier. Skill upgrades gradually shortened the cooldown and reduced consumption. Blink changed his position. The rings changed the enemy's position, and Ice Wall changed the structure of the battlefield between them. Repelling Ring of Fire could only knock back targets that failed its level and strength check, and might not affect an anchored boss. Treating Blink as unconditional passage through walls, or expecting the fire ring to repel every monster could kill him the first time either assumption failed. After equipment and the Snowfield Dragon Steed's 4% bonus, the system displayed 6,490 health and roughly 4,570 mana. Luck continued supporting rare drops, while Spirit simultaneously improved his attacks, shield, and blink distance. After raising it to 130, he stopped stacking it so that a non-combat attribute would not crowd out health and spirit. Mana cost 2 per second. Jang Foam tested 3 cycles with the system timer. Of the remaining 34 points, he spent 9 to raise Heavenly Thunderstrike to level 10. The other 25 points raised Magic Blink from level 1 to level 26, shortening its cooldown to 25 seconds and lowering its mana cost to 95. 25 seconds still could not disengage him repeatedly, but it guaranteed at least one use during a boss mechanic. Jang Foam combed it through their contract before it kicked the wall on a narrow cliff ledge. Raising the skill to level 26 required only 25 points. Repelling Ring of Fire also remained at level 1 and would be used only after an enemy successfully reached him. Not long after leaving the previous battlefield, he found 25 Icebone demons deep inside the temple. They were all level 28 platinum monsters, armed with spiked clubs and equipped with heavy hammer and bleed. Jang Foam opened by covering the pack with level 10 Heavenly Thunderstrike. Jang Foam raised Ice Wall to interrupt their charge. activated level 80 magic shield, then followed with luminous roar and high-speed magic missiles. Jang Foam controlled the pack again, used area damage to lower their health, and harvested them with magic missile. Jang Foam moved backward along the corridor, keeping every demon that surged through a broken wall aligned in a single line. His level rose all the way from 25 to 30 with 5 levels granting 40 skill points and 40 free attribute points. New golden patterns extended from his wrist to his elbow, and every living creature in his vision briefly displayed a valid Midas Touch marker. Midas Touch may now be used directly on living targets for an instant kill, including bosses. Higher target quality did not guarantee failure, but certain divine, invincible, or quest-protected states might reject Midas Touch. 3 uses per day meant it could not replace every battle, but it could eliminate high-level bosses that ordinary methods could not kill. Party members and pets could not be killed by accident, while deliberately removing protection required several confirmations. Then he transmuted the corpses one by one and received spirit, luck, strength, agility, constitution, free attribute points, and extra skill points. Of the 40 free attribute points gained from leveling, he distributed 30 into spirit and 10 into luck as planned. The numerical increase was enormous, but what he most wanted to verify was the 3 living target instant kills that remained in use today. Verifying the ability on a platinum monster he could already kill normally would sacrifice 1 chance to eliminate a truly powerful boss. Of the remaining 26 points, he spent 16 to raise Luminous Roar from level 10 to level T6. Jang Foam kept the other 10 unassigned until he found a more suitable skill. If he landed directly in the center of an enemy group, he would still take attacks before the next cooldown ended. It was nearly evening when he left Frost Temple, and all 3 living target instant kills remained and used for the day. Death here cost 10% of a level's progress, while equipped items and inventory contents had a chance to drop. Boss loot was distributed first according to damage contribution, while the player landing the final blow gained an extra pickup period. Jang Foam was accustomed to playing solo, and could not allow strangers to observe his skills at close range, so he declined, politely. The leader displayed the contract first. A world instance isn't like a personal one, but a party contract would record his damage skills and equipment bonuses. Jang Foam approached to observe and found several guilds surrounding a level 50 rare boss. If he instantly killed the Wraith in public, news that Sovereign is here would immediately spread around the world. Jang Foam abandoned the target before him and prepared to find a boss with no witnesses. A level 50 rare boss stood within range, and all 3 instant kills remained available. The 2 guilds surrounding the Wraith attacked each other first, and a third faction targeted the smallest group of 3. The people who had just warned him to be careful around legions did not even have time to shout a second sentence. Worse, skills from all 3 factions already covered the entire passage, leaving him unable to see even a safely blink destination. The 3 individually capable players never received a window to counterattack against organized control and focused fire. Yet, at the instant all 3 attack zones overlapped, he still could not find a destination that would bring anyone out intact. The equipment dropped by the 3 players was immediately collected by the nearest guild members. Rather than wait for the fighting to spread, he casts Ice Wall Fortress to cut off sight lines and pursuit, then activated level 50 magic blink repeatedly. His mana fell with each displacement, but he did not stop to wait for recovery, simply to conserve it. The Snowfield Dragon Steed was suited to sustain travel, while Blink was better for rapidly escaping skill coverage. Jang Foam first entered a side tunnel with no boss marker. 3 instant kill transmutations per day could not eliminate an entire legion either. Using Heavenly Thunder as an area of attack might also engulf neutral parties. This precious instant kill use would be worthwhile only when no witnesses or follow-up assault existed, and he could claim the corpse's full value. Players kept turning to stare along the route, and some recorded it with the system camera. Jang Foam could not let a platinum mount with a dragon's head and horse's body become a fixed clue in the search for Sovereign. Every isolated target was a boss. Defense 2 551, 250 physical magical skills, Wrathful Strike level 55, Soul Return level 40, Demonic Sword level 34, Necrotic Resentment level 8. A 7,200 point physical attack might not be fatal against his shield in the 60,000 range, but the exact effects of Soul Return and Necrotic Resentment were unknown. Jang Foam activated level 80 magic shield and raised his right arm bearing the short golden wand mark. Living target Midas Touch uses remaining today. Golden light illuminated the cavern in an instant and pierced straight through the necrotic resentment. Golden patterns spread upward from its feet, disintegrating the demonic sword, vengeful spirits, and main body together. Midas Touch had completed both the kill and reward extraction, yet still allowed the blood rinker pendant to absorb the boss's blood during the instant before it dispersed. Whenever any skill is cast, there is a 60% chance to trigger Dragon's Roar. Dragon's Wrath had no class restriction and occupied no active skill slot. Only 2 uses remained that day. But this had already proven that Stage 2 Midas Touch could rewrite the rules of battle. The instant kill itself cost no mana and required no cast time. After Malice died, the Blood Rinker pendant absorbed an enormous amount of blood. The bloodline inside the pendant continued rising, and the high-level demonic creature quest changed. From 0 to Onus 0. Player Sovereign has slain the level 55 rare boss, Malice, in the world instance, Wraith Cavern. Anonymous player, he only saw 1 flash of gold. Instance protection, real-world security, and their highest tier contract are all negotiable. Jang Foam still had 2 instant kills that day, and the return from finding another isolated boss was clearly greater. Jang Foam could not learn it, but advanced skill books easily found buyers on the open market, so he stored it for now. Selling them together as a set would be worth more than the skill book alone. Malice's boss reward granted 16 skill points, and the 2 level-ups gave another 16 for 32 total. Keeping points available did not weaken his existing abilities, but it let him raise a crucial new skill immediately when he obtained one. If one cast also triggered S-rank Dragon's Wrath, enemies might remain paralyzed for another 3 seconds after the stun ended. Remaining beside the boss's remains would only turn him into the next contested target. Even if pursuers reached the announcement point, they would have to determine his departure direction again. They had followed the worldwide announcement here and quickly identified him from the vanished boss in his mouth. Rather than attack immediately, they sealed his tunnel exit first. You can't take the legendary pendant. Kill you, and something else will drop eventually. The system synchronized the conversation into the hostile event record. Jang Foam clearly heard some members mention the Serpent Emperor's enormous bounty on Sovereign, while others worried that killing a JoJo prodigy would bring an official manhunt. Jang Foam activated level 80 magic shield first. Jang Foam then leaped from the mount and recalled it to the pet space before the guild members could switch targets and kill it. To reacquire him, the rear line had to compress forward, making the previously spread-out classes overlap instead. Level 42 area damage, combined with the Blood Rinker pendant and Eternal Power. Several high-level players with stun resistance recovered early, only to be locked immediately by the Fear Judgment. The leader, vice leader, elders, and ordinary members of Inyang Gate died one after another. Once they crossed the blockade and no longer threatened him, pursuing them into unknown branches might expose him to another party's pincer. Inyang Gate might have hidden members or delayed resurrection users, and its guild channel might already have sent the coordinates to reinforcements. Less than 30% of the shield remained, but mana recovery kept his mana in a safe range. Stage 2 Midas Touch also applied its own X to Tank's multiplier to ordinary corpses. Jang Foam first collected the rare equipment, and potions sealed the entrance with Ice Wall, and only then began transmuting. 1 gold reward also triggered the 10-fold multiplier, further increasing his inventory balance. Hundreds of attribute points entered his body in succession, producing a far more violent sensation than an ordinary level up. So the sudden increase in agility would not make him lose control in the narrow cavern. The massive increase in potions came from the guild members' inventories, not from the system creating them out of nothing. Anong Gates members dropped 8 pieces of equipment, 1 rare treasure map, and large quantities of potions and monster materials. Automatic sorting handled the bulk of the low-level materials, so he would not remain at a public coordinate for their sake. The movement bonus synergized with the Snowfield Dragon Steed and Magic Blink, while attack speed affected the real transition between consecutive casts. The old Outer Gargant replaced by the Moonshadow Cloak had no attributes, so he recycled it. Attack speed improved the movements of raising the staff, locking on, and recovering after a cast. Jang Foam placed the ordinary class equipment into his inventory, and examined the platinum armor and diamond ring first. When a single attack would deal damage exceeding 50% of the wearer's maximum health, negate that attack completely. Without a conspicuous alert, he might mistakenly assume it could negate the next fatal attack. 2. It could not stop the total of a multi-hit skill from exceeding half his health. 5,000 accuracy allowed him to deal effective damage to targets at level 70 or 80. As long as he had enough mana, he could maintain continuous control over targets in its area. In his current system, Thunder Control End still gained the most. When the Dragon Serpent Demon Ring settled around his finger, the two patterns on its face seemed to come alive and coil slowly together. Only after several rounds of empty casts did he stop being rushed into disorder by his own cooldown speed. Jang Foam had a margin for control coverage, but could not hold one button and lock every enemy forever. Under the formula, level 43 Magic Missile dealt roughly 156,530 damage. In real casting, changing sight lines and recoil, like mental shock, reduced the rate. Even so, compared with when he entered Wraith Cavern, he could now challenge stronger bosses without relying on an instant kill. If the next two targets also triggered high multipliers, the profits from this world instance were far from over. After Enyang Gate was wiped out, nearby players had already recognized the Snowfield Dragon steed and connected him to Sovereign's worldwide announcements. Jang Foam only needed to leave before more guilds arrived. Who betrayed whom or who defended whom would not change the fact that they had launched the first concentrated attack against him. Jang Foam left the remaining judgment to instance enforcement and their respective factions. Jang Foam rode the Snowfield Dragon steed deeper into the cavern, in search of his second instant kill target for the day. It did not display its complete skill list, but public information classified it as one of the hardest threats in Wraith Cavern. The whispers were merely disruptive and had not produced a system-recognized mental debuff until he saw its true skills. If the instant kill triggered anything abnormal, he could blink back along his original path. Golden light crossed the greatly increased casting distance and erased the boss before it could approach. No divided spirit body appeared on the bridge, showing that Midas Touch bypassed its ordinary death phase. Boss rewards 2.88 million EXP, 40 skill points, and 1 boss slayer chest. The system warned that the other party was attempting to bind his location, and the neutral marker beneath his feet instantly turned red. Player died without releasing a single skill, and the system identified him as Zhao Chongnan. Jang Foam did not yet know which faction he belonged to, but his deliberate concealment, pursuit, and observation of the instant kill made one thing clear. It contained his black market alias, historical kills, and the contract number issued by the Serpent Emperor. Jang Foam submitted the remnants of his tracking mark, together with the warrant record, to the instance enforcement system, preserving complete evidence of self-defense. Combined with the blood supplied by the Soul Lord, its progress finally reached 30-0, adding a fixed 30,000 true damage to every attack. The damage record clearly separated skill damage, converted to true damage, fixed 30,000 bonus damage, and eternal power. The Blood Rinker pendant had grown from equipment, with a large damage bonus, into the true core of his defense penetration. Once he opened the Soul Lord's settlement records in a safe position, the full reward chain appeared. The 2.88 million EXP raised him successively from level 33 to level 37, with 4 levels granting 32 free attribute points and 32 skill points. The announcement coordinate might attract pursuers, while hundreds of new attribute points would alter his physical control. The system test also showed that one portion of base skill damage came to. The system counted only valid magical damage dealt after Tong Force unlocked. None of his previous kills applied retroactively. Jang Foam fired a minimum power magic missile at his wall, and the system's progress increased by the actual magical damage. Song Force's twofold multiplier applied after the skill calculation and before Blood Rinker converted it, increasing both output and its own advancement speed. The Dragon Serpent Demon Ring reduced cooldowns, while the Soul Ring provided spirit critical chance and roughly 8-fold range. His reach within a straight line of sight had indeed increased dramatically. But the crosshair disappeared the instant the target moved behind a stone pillar. Jang Foam continued searching on the Snowfield Dragon steed, but most nearby targets were players and guild parties. Once the Soul Ring extended the golden targeting line, players along its path could still see which way the light pointed. Jang Foam could not let them see every detail of Midas Touch, but he also could not allow the boss to charge into the crowd, simply to protect his secret. Jang Foam raised the attack line farther upward, confirmed that the golden light would pass through no neutral marker, and only then allowed the Midas Touch brand to illuminate completely. The Soul Ring let his Midas Touch lock from far beyond their expectations, so he did not need to approach the crowd to activate it. The direwolf had just lowered its head to prepare a hunting charge when golden patterns lit across all four limbs. Its 8,888 physical attack and level 100 bite remained nothing more than numbers on its status screen. Jang Foam had used all 3 instant kills for the day, so he no longer needed to search for bosses. The secret was not that Sovereign can instantly kill bosses. What could not be exposed were the daily use limit, confirmation range, and Midas Touch multiplier rules. His maximum health also broke past 30,000. Constitution reward did not directly raise a skill's displayed damage, but it amplified both his survival and the passive portion of every attack. The real improvement was the minimum threat of every low-cost skill, not unlimited burn, stacking through rapid attacks. When the staff appeared, dark red and golden patterns filled the entire settlement space. Unlike the Abyss staff's coldness, this one returned a heavy, warm response, as though every spell would leave a trace inside it. Jang Foam had exchanged 3 boss kills in Wrath Cavern, a guild ambush, and several close calls with exposing his identity for it. Attributes: Spirit plus 1,250 luck, plus 650 critical chance plus 60%. Effect: his current output was already sufficient, so he still equipped the Celestial Demon Staff and stored the Abyss Staff in reserve. Jang Foam then invested all 364 accumulated free attribute points into Spirit, bringing the final value to 3,485 before confirming all 364 at once. Once every boss, level up, and chest reward finished settling, the system displayed a final balance of 169 available skill points. During the upgrades, control gradually rose from 1.44 seconds to 2 seconds, while mana cost continued falling. Base cooldown 1 second, reduced to 0.5 seconds by the Dragon Serpent Demon Ring. Of the remaining 111 skill points, he spent 27 to raise mana recovery, from level 23 to level 50, increasing regeneration to 50 mana per second. If he stopped at level 99 now, the replacement would still require another skill point to reach the cap. This allocation left Ice Wall, Repelling Ring of Fire, and the newly acquired advanced skills at their existing levels. His talents included Stage 2 SS- Touch, Stage 1 S-rank Dragon's Wrath, and Stage 1 SS-rank Song Force. His main equipment consisted of the Blood Rinker Pendant, Frost Pendant, Celestial Demon Staff, Moonshadow Cloak, Magic Armor, Dragon Serpent Demon Ring, and Soul Ring. Against a skill that resisted control, ignored shields, or targeted spirit directly, his current stats might not allow him a second reaction. The World Instance Settlement recorded the SSS chest, slaying records, and every drop in his account. Street stalls outside the hall primarily traded items below gold rank. Jang Foam entered an equipment shop and first displayed 5 items for sale. He inspected each item's durability and binding record first. 2 silver items for 100,000, and 3 gold items for 600,000. He would take it as gold. If the system could read the quality of one item incorrectly, it could read the quantity of the entire lot just as slowly. Jang Foam still required a formal system receipt and confirmed that every item name, quantity, and amount of gold was included before preparing to sign. Separating the 2 categories saved time and prevented the shopkeeper from using a bulk quote to suppress the price of rare equipment. After inspecting the 5 pieces of equipment, the shopkeeper agreed to buy the full lot and made a final offer of 700,000 gold. Jang Foam made him examine its elemental aches again, and the lot was ultimately settled as 3 gold items and 2 silver items. Once the equipment entered store inventory, the former owner could no longer be involved in a drop dispute, and he could not reclaim it if prices rose. Its second stage did not depend on the number of battles, but accumulated progress through newly acquired gold. Ordinary equipment was suited to direct sale, while items with special effects were better auctioned. 2 isolation barriers stood behind the auction house doors. When a newly level 40 player simultaneously sold a lifesteal staff, a special assassin weapon, and an advanced skill, the items themselves would reconstruct a trail of activity. The kill record is complete, with no death dispute. Jang Foam made him include the condition in the consignment contract. Even though he had replaced it with the Celestial Demon Staff, 10% magic lifesteal remained extremely valuable to another mage. Once the attendant read its effects, he registered it directly as high-value special equipment. Its rank was lower than the Abyss Staff, but the elemental resistance made it clearly more valuable than ordinary gold armor. But to him, the real question was whether he could convert and used equipment into the gold dragon's wrath required. Jang Foam disabled voice mapping and used a one-time number for sale notifications, ensuring that the equipment source could not be connected directly to the real-world Jang Foam. When the auctioneer called the final price 3 times, he did not withdraw at the last moment. Assassin buyers valued stealth movement speed. Quality would become obsolete, but a special movement AX was difficult to reproduce on low-level equipment. The 3 auctions brought in a total of 2.55 million gold, and each payment further advanced Dragon's Wrath's gold progress. Jang Foam archived the records before leaving the auction house, so he would not later discover a short payment, with no way to audit it, no matter how high the numbers became. Sleep remained the most reliable way to restore sound judgment. Jang Foam packed the academy materials, an emergency return talisman, in his everyday bag, then minimized location permissions on his phone. With time remaining before the gates opened, he remembered the rare treasure map dropped by Inyang Gate that still sat in his inventory. It did not guarantee a high-quality reward every time. Determine whether more than 1,000 luck could significantly improve the return from one map before investing additional gold. If the first map produced only ordinary materials, he would stop buying more instead of spending additional gold to chase the loss. If treasure detection did not trigger within 10 minutes of arrival, he would abandon the attempt immediately. The black market bounty on Sovereign had risen to 5 billion, and the Snowfield Dragon Steed had become a publicly recognized feature. Jang Foam deliberately selected the 3 most common-looking animals and disabled any guild crest on their equipment. The purchase records for all 3 mounts were registered under Dragon Sovereign, with no visual connection to Sovereign Snowfield Dragon Steed. After the treasure shovel dug roughly 33 feet down, the system finally reported an item, and an almost transparent veil appeared in his hand. Jang Foam first moved away from the main road, recalled the chestnut, and used perception to confirm that no players were nearby. The systems also stated that the altered information would enter the ordinary query cache and display no disguised marker. Even if its auction value exceeded 100 million, he could never sell it. Official enforcement, his own interface, and special divine rank scouting might still reveal the true data. Past first clears would remain under Sovereign and would not be renamed automatically, while the new public status would display Dragon Sovereign. From now on, even someone checking his character inside Vermilion Bird Academy would see only an ordinary mage named Dragon Sovereign. The result matched the settings exactly, while the internal combat log retained his real identity for the system to determine loot and wanted status. Several players still searching for Sovereign, and the Snowfield Dragon Steed walked past him without one turning around. Yet with one missing name in the query results, every searching gaze along the road slid away under a 5 billion bounty. The modified public status retained only 3 effective details: the player named Dragon Sovereign, the mage class, and 3 ordinary silver war horses. The owner asked 300,000 for the diamond map, 800,000 for the rare map, and 1.5 million for the epic map, a total of 2.6 million. A faint crease crossed the epic map's lower right corner without damaging the system seal. Jang Foam made the owner add 3 guarantees to the contract. He clearly remained reluctant to part with the prestige of an epic map, but understood even better that it would never turn itself into gold while sitting on his counter. The trade contract simultaneously confirmed that all 3 maps were in use and their coordinate seals intact, preventing him from buying empty scrolls that someone had already activated. The 3 coordinates were not far apart, and he had an hour and a half before reporting to Vermilion Bird Academy. After the treasure shovel descended roughly 43 feet, the system delivered a diamond skill book into his hands. One warrior could activate it and increase an entire party's maximum health by half, a value no personal equipment could replace. Jang Foam placed the skill book in his inventory and opened the second rare treasure map. Jang Foam recorded purchase prices, travel time, shovel durability, and final rewards. After he finished digging at 771,668, a thumb-sized bottle fell into his hand. Dragon Blood Level 1. Rank Rare to Permanent Enhancement Potion Effect. Permanently increases physical attack by 7,800 when consumed. It had limited use for me as a mage, but offered warriors and archers permanent growth that could never be replaced by equipment. Jang Foam kept digging after arriving, until the treasure shovel's durability fell from 50/50ths to 150th before the system finally produced a reward. When durability fell to 10, he had already considered stopping, but the system's treasure detection grew steadily stronger, proving his direction was correct. Jang Foam performed one brief summon in an unoccupied area and confirmed that the water elemental could execute follow, hold position, and designated attack commands. Jang Foam had to issue attack and movement commands actively to the water elemental, and its presence consumed part of his spiritual perception. Jang Foam returned to Dang Auction House, where the staff recognized him as a VIP from his 3 previous consignments. Jang Foam accepted the order, but required the consignor's identity to remain hidden, disabled live questions, and retained the no seller commission clause. The auction house did not reveal that both came from the same seller. The opportunity to permanently add 7,800 physical attack had already made the buyers abandon ordinary equipment valuations. The price in the auction hall had already climbed to 500 million and showed no sign of stopping. Every new number called by the auctioneer brought a moment of silence outside the private rooms. Dragon Blood had no class restriction, could be used at level 1, and permanently added 7,800 physical attack. Jang Foam opened the consignment contract and reconfirmed that the no seller commission clause and receiving account had not changed before waiting for the auctioneer to complete the legally required countdown. The golden hammer fell, and system prompts appeared before him at the same time. Dragon's Wrath gold accumulation requirement has been satisfied. While paralysis after fear rose from 3 seconds to 5, the prompt remained for only an instant before the remaining accumulated gold crossed the next threshold. Whenever any skill is cast, there is a 95% chance to trigger Dragon's Roar. Dragon's Wrath had grown from a 60% trigger and 3-second paralysis into a 95% trigger and 10-second paralysis. Fear Judgment also depended on level, willpower, and boss resistance. Jang Foam could only record later battles gradually, rather than treating an experiential guess as a system rule. Jang Foam captured separate screenshots of his balance, Dragon's Wrath stage, and auction receipt. Because he had consigned several high-quality items before, Dang Auction House had upgraded his account to VP status and would prioritize his consignments. Its cooldown was long, but the duration covered a complete progression attempt in a major instance. The auction house classified it as a core progression skill and attached a system-verified demonstration to the display page. The auctioneer raised one hand. How much this skillbook sold for now affected only how many resources he could buy next. Bidding moved faster than it had for Dragon Blood, but lacked the no-expense-spared leaps between families competing for heirs. The Xiao family's authentication emblem appeared on the auction display. When no new bids arrived, the golden hammer fell a second time. You have gained 220 million gold. Heil's skills, crystals, and equipment development might each cost billions in the future. The crystal was only the size of a finger joint and had none of the glow unique to equipment. An unknown item meant risk, but 3,000 gold was meaningless to him. In this world, a divine threshold separated level 99 from level 100, and a divine ranked talent was one of the requirements for crossing it. The auctioneer confirmed 5 times before lowering the hammer, and the crystal entered his inventory directly. Jang Foam first moved the crystal near ordinary equipment. Only when he brought it close to his right arm did the Midas Touch brand heat on its own. Did he really buy a useless rock? Hundreds of blurred monster silhouettes swept through his consciousness and were absorbed one after another by the short golden wand. The high-level demonic essence remaining within has been absorbed by Midas Touch. Under normal circumstances, he would have needed to kill 500 targets that satisfied the system, while bearing the risks of instances, corpses, and competition. According to the system's path, filling only 499 more progress could give his SSS plus Midas Touch a chance to enter divine rank. The Shang auction house recorded only that the consignment channel was legal while protecting the selfless identity. If he found more divine spark fragments later, that number might be the only clue for tracing their source. Firewolf tails, gold armor, and bronze mounts sold one after another, but none had the quality or effect to justify his bidding. All 10 scrolls bore unopened seals, and the auction house guaranteed their authenticity. His previous 3 maps had produced identity-concealing equipment, a permanent potion, and an epic skill. His luck had been enhanced repeatedly by Midas Touch and supplemented by the Celestial Demon's staff and other equipment. The auctioneer was about to begin the countdown when a man announced 2.2 million over the public channel. His tone sounded polite, but the guild emblem already glowed beside the bid. Security rules could preserve evidence, but they could not guarantee that no one would follow him after he left the auction house. The auctioneer repeated the free bidding clause. Yet the 2 other numbers still competing went dark in succession. The auctioneer paused briefly, then read the bid as normal. The other party quickly raised it to 3.1 million and opened his voice channel directly. This is Duchang Auction House, not a Sea Shark warehouse. 3.5 million was only 400,000 above his offer and remained far below the split market value of 10 diamond maps. The auctioneer finished the countdown, and all 10 scrolls entered his inventory. Dragon Sovereign was the exact name the concealment veil displayed publicly, and his class appeared as an ordinary mage. Jang Foam declined direct teleportation, but had security include the exit surveillance and the opposing guild roster in the event record. Jang Foam chose the front door and asked the auction house to delay publishing his departure status by 1 minute. If he eliminated the pursuit once it's a city, the concealment veil could continue separating him from Sovereign. No one could attack at the auction house's entrance, and private fighting was forbidden throughout Ancient City. Jang Foam activated system recording and placed the auction threat, the current blockade, and ownership of his inventory into one continuous event record. If he truly were the level 40 ordinary mage shown on his status, this force would have been enough to surround and kill him. If you enter the red warning circle, you accept the consequences. Jang Foam did not stop near the gate. Jang Foam continued east until the city guards and traveling caravans were all outside his skill range. If they blocked the gate, he could blink across the first line of their formation. Jang Foam first expanded the Soul Ring's long-range lock and confirmed that every hostile red marker stood inside the same region. Jang Foam raised the Celestial Demon's staff without retreating. An ordinary mage needed a long chant and truly might have been interrupted by that opening attack. Jang Foam blinked backward once causing the charge to miss, while Heavenly Thunder remained locked on their densest rear formation. A deep dragon roar overwhelmed the thunder, and every player judged to be afraid froze in place before they could activate a survival skill. The few people who passed the fear judgment still lost all their health in the first numerical settlement. In less than 1 second, more than 30 health bars emptied simultaneously. System recording showed that they had crossed the red estimated radius after his final warning, and were therefore judged to have entered the combat area voluntarily. Jang Foam submitted the event record to the city defense system and sent both players compensation for potions and resurrection costs. The strike proved that Heavenly Thunder combined with Tongue Force, the fully advanced Bloodrinker pendant, and Eternal Power, produced completely excessive against same-level players. Remaining for a few ordinary pieces of equipment would merely give Sea Shark reinforcements time to arrive. Only 50 minutes remained before registration at Vermilion Bird Academy. Jang Foam first confirmed that the Sea Shark gang had no real-world tracking permissions, then removed his academy admission materials from storage. The Soul Ring increased skill range, but did not change the rule that a blink destination had to be visible. Many people could use game skills in reality, but Magic Blink was an exceedingly rare advanced movement ability. 2 stone lions stood on either side of the entrance, while the academy wall stretched into the distance. The entrance had 3 layers of verification: real-world identity, awakening mark, and academy admission code. When he extended his right arm into the detection curtain, the system read only the publicly known A-rank Midas Touch and did not display its SSS plus tier. When he first arrived in this world 3 years ago, he had read about the 4 divine beast armies in his textbooks. Zhang Fong in the public file, however, was merely an ordinary student who had barely crossed the admission line. The instructors and course resources available later would clearly differ as well. If he wanted higher privileges, he could earn them later through academy missions and formal assessments. rather than revealing Sovereign's record on the spot. A boy nearly 6 and 2 feet tall stood ahead of him, while a long-haired girl stood behind. Instead, he ordered everyone to close their chat interfaces and check their emergency return talismans. The action said more clearly than any introduction that Class 14's training would not remain inside a classroom. How far you go depends on whether you obey training and whether you have what it takes to return alive from an instance. It was not a real attack, but a test formed from mental pressure and fire element together, enough to make anyone who had only just awakened dodge instinctively. The point was clearly not who could endure it by force, but who would first assess the nature of the attack, and who would run on instinct alone. The others retreated first while you evaluated the situation. That shows good reactions under pressure. Starting today, you'll serve as acting monitor for Grade 10 Class 14. It was not a reward or permanent recognition, but a responsibility that could be withdrawn. Some people recognized that he came from Qing Lan Academy, while others mentioned his 301-point assessment score. The covers were identical, but each manual contained its owner's course permissions. The identity was troublesome, but it gave him a legitimate reason to access academy missions, courses, and student rosters. Someone who scored 3001 can be monitored, a girl whispered. He don't accept that. Another boy replied, he would talk to him tonight. If they truly plan to use other means, he could deal with it later. The mission hall, contribution store, skill treasury, training zones, residences, and a market open to both students and outsiders. An old man in white robes was sweeping the ground slowly, with no class emblem anywhere on him. That single glance returned his extended spiritual power intact, as if it had touched still water, neither counterattacking nor revealing more information. From that brief contact alone, he could conclude only that his spirit exceeded Qing Lanmi's principle, and his level was probably above 60. Until he could stand against people like these, the identities of Sovereign and Jang Foam had remained separate. The elderly keeper warned him that replacement-type advanced spells inherited the old skills level, but permanently overwrote the original. Jang Foam still read every description and confirmed that the Academy versions used the same formulas as his originals. Two skills sharing a name did not mean their effects stacked. Jang Foam examined the descriptions one by one and finally selected 5 spells that filled gaps in his current combat style. Flame Impact, a linear attack that also applied Scorch. Fireball replaced his core single-target spell, and Explosive Flame replaced his ordinary area attack. When 5 million gold was deducted from his account, Dragon's Wrath progress did not decline. Jang Foam opened Fireball first, and the system immediately displayed a replacement prompt. Cool down 0.05 seconds after modification by the Dragon Serpent Demon Ring. Actual battle would still be limited by movement, targeting, and casting motions, but it remained far stronger than his original magic missile. Next, he learned Explosive Flame Beginner skill of the same school detected. After he confirmed, the new area skill rose directly to level 53. Its single hit damage was lower than maximum level fireballs, but it covered an area. If the real effects matched their descriptions, his fire magic combat chain would no longer consist of single-target instant kills alone. Additional effect Scorch, reducing the target's maximum health by 0.5% per second. Against a high health boss without percentage damage resistance, it could lower health reliably. While player combat was affected by competitive protection, it did not guarantee removing exactly 1/100th of every boss's health each second. So he set the area display to remain permanently visible and would not cast casually, based only on a skill name. Damage Spirit X 8.0 plus Spirit X 8.0x skill level. Two Enchant gave a fast enemy enough time to leave the area, and Control could forcibly interrupt it. If he cancelled voluntarily, no mana was consumed, but the skill entered a brief failed cast cooldown. The third floor was far quieter than the two below, and the skills on its shelves no longer displayed direct gold prices. Any attempt to damage the barrier would trigger an academy alarm. Permission had every skill effect until after exchange. The 2 auction items had just made him 5.2 billion, which seemed like immense wealth. Vermling bird points circulated only within the academy, but missions could grant them for free. Jang Foam recorded the locations of the 3 skills, left the treasury, and headed toward the mission hall. Private item searches could be completed by multiple people, while high-resist kills usually rewarded only the first valid record. The high-level zone deeper in the hall was somewhat better. But after he reviewed more than a dozen pages, the highest reward remained only 790,000. Are there any higher-level missions? Most commissions there involve borders, abyssal rifts, and advanced instances with rewards from tens of thousands to several hundred. 0 points. Yes, the attendant replied. Higher rewards usually come from temporary wars, private editions, or academy assignments. He had not hidden his name. Lung Ayan finally stopped and placed a bloodstained guard emblem and a survivor's testimony on the counter. An entire party of level 50 guards accompanied him, and only one person escaped. The annihilation of a level 50 party could be verified, but there was no direct evidence that one monster had caused it. He displayed a level 60 warrior status and records from several border missions, proving that he was not gambling blindly. 5 million points was already equivalent to 500 million gold. Instead, he stared at the mission screen and answered in a low voice. The light changed from yellow to green, proving that 5 billion gold had truly entered the Academy's account. Grief could explain why Lung Yin was willing to pay, but it could not explain why a monster capable of wiping out level 50 guards without injury would remain in one fixed location's waiting. But the more abnormal the reward, the more unpublished danger the mission likely contained. Lung Yin's decision to multiply the offer by 10 might have been nothing more than grief after losing his son. Jang Foam stood beside the screen and waited for the attendant to write the conditions into a formal contract. Lung Yin paid 5 billion gold into Vermilion Bird Academy's escrow account on the spot, converting it into 50 million points. If several people contributed to the kill, settlement would go to the first party that submitted a complete record. Reward 50 million Vermilion Bird points. Jang Foam set the mission to private tracking and did not join a temporary guild. The mission files did not explain why he suddenly traveled to an abandoned battlefield with the party of level 50 guards. By the time he reached the forest, the first arrivals had trampled the outer region into chaos. This was not a game instance. Jang Foam had not yet acquired rebirth through flame, and one mistake could end his real life. Jang Foam did not follow at once because the trees reflected the sound, making its source impossible to judge by direction alone. Even if a real victim existed, the cry might be only the first step in luring the crowd onto a prepared route. The fireball vaporized a small amount of black blood into mist, and corrosive ripples immediately appeared across Magic Shield's surface. It was nowhere near strong enough to wipe out a level 50 guard party, and was not recognized as the mission target. Some shouted that black blood was corroding their skin, while others lost control of their bodies. Don't touch the blood. Retreat upwind and to higher ground. This was not a mission to surround and kill one monster. Jang Foam did not use Wall of Fire or continue blasting their torsos with ordinary fireballs which would scatter more black blood. Jang Foam used Ice Wall to cut off the route on the left, while pointing the Celestial Demon Staff at the right. 10 seconds of paralysis gave him enough time to move onto a rocky rise and shifted the nearby crowd out of the demon's attack direction. Jang Foam uploaded the positions of all 3 demons, the black blood area, and the abnormal sound source to the mission log, at least informing the Academy that this was no single target bounty might stop more participants from entering unprepared. Another could no longer speak and only turned with the mental fluctuations inside the black blood. Jang Foam retreated along dry ground and avoided every trace of blood. The ice rapidly darkened after contacting the black blood, but was not penetrated for the moment. He transformed into an after-image with a movement's skill and actually avoided the frontal blast. He still understood what was happening, but he possessed no purification skill and could not awaken him with words alone. Under continuous attack, the black blood had not made him stronger. Jang Foam used Ice Wall to stop the leading attacks and let Magic Shield absorb the shock that pierced through. No black corrosion remained on it, showing that his weapon attacks and the blood on the ground used different mechanisms. After the battle, he sealed both corpse and ground together under ice. Before approaching to use Midas Touch, the system labeled the corpse mutated awakened, rather than a normal player. The black blood was not a simple corrosive liquid. Every patch of black blood responded to the same point in the forest's north. Lung Yin stepped from the shadows, accompanied by a young man whose features resembled his. Lua was uninjured, while the guard party's emblem hung at his waist. Lung Yin had also removed the mourning clothes he wore in the mission hall, and patterns the same color as the black blood now covered his arm. The mental fluctuation inside the black blood radiated outward with it at the center. The mission contract originally existed only to protect the reward. His Majesty the Demon King values your strength. First, he placed all three positions and the source of the black blood in the same frame. The Awakens struggled desperately to level, yet they still die on the battlefield. You posted 50 million points, not to avenge anyone, but to make more Awaken walk willingly into the contamination zone. The more people arrive, the stronger His Majesty's army becomes. But the Lung father and son had voluntarily participated in a mass transformation, and hostile skill light had appeared in Lung Out's hand. The Abyssal Demon King sensed danger before the skill fully formed and leaped violently to one side. The fire did not spread to the surrounding black blood. Its status remained hidden, but its speed far exceeded the previous soldiers, clearly concealing unknown skills. Even if his shield blocked the direct damage, splashing black blood might pass beyond the barrier and reach the distant crowd. The moment the golden brand locked onto the Demon King, its charge stopped abruptly, and obvious terror appeared in its animal eyes for the first time. When the light contracted, the Demon King vanished, together with the contamination source inside it. Base reward, all attributes plus 20. The signal continuously transmitting commands through the black blood ceased, and several infected people still struggling among the trees visibly froze. The severely infected still could not move, but no longer attacked. Jang Foam truthfully recorded that explosive flame killed the Lung father and son, and Midas Touch removed the Abyssal Demon King, attaching their confession. Jang Foam could not protect Sovereign's identity by falsifying facts. Jang Foam sealed both identity records, together with the kill logs. After confirming that Academy warning signals had appeared around the perimeter, he mounted the chestnut and returned toward Jojo City. The self-service terminal in the mission hall read his kill record. The safety appendix has been transferred to Vermilion Bird Academy and the Jojo military. Jang Foam avoided the gathering around the terminal and returned directly to the skill treasury. Before the exchange, he reconfirmed that the three skills had no class conflicts and would not overwrite one another. The risk he accepted was not the price, but the possibility that the skills would not suit his current system. All three skill books unlocked. Jang Foam had to preserve 8,000 mana before death, and it could trigger only once every 72 hours. Rebirth through Flame would not overdraft insufficient mana, nor could a potion pay the difference afterward. The system could alert him when he fell below it, but would not forcibly stop him from casting. Damage Spirit X 12.5 plus Spirit X 12.5x skill level. Bosses might shorten the duration, and players could remove it with control cleansing skills. Additional effect, drain 3% of the target's health to restore the user's own health. It was ideal for refilling health quickly among a monster pack, but could not heal him without limit from one high health boss. After learning all three, his skill system finally formed a closed loop. High rank did not mean they could immediately replace level 100 Fireball and Heavenly Thunder. A freshman buying all three advanced skills just after they entered inventory was far too conspicuous. But the Academy held the exchange record. Jang Foam could not admit his full strength, but he also had no need to insult a level 99 expert's judgment with an obviously unsustainable lie. The old man smiled, and the identity badge on his chest lit. Skills are placed here for people to learn. Jang Foam did not volunteer the method of completion Midas Touch, or the evidence against the Lung family. Zuko watched him for several seconds without exposing the lie or asking about Sovereign. It adds fire element amplification to equipment with sockets. Someone who can earn 61 million points on the first day and still bothers to verify the skill rules possesses more than a little luck. Such amplification was worth far more to a fire mage than ordinary equipment. If he still cannot cross into the divine realm within 5 years, his lifespan will reach its end. Talent, level, the body's capacity, and the divine tribulation must all be passed. When he was young, he also broke down his skills, used the moment he obtained it. Would he sell it for gold? Socket it blindly or understand the rules before accepting the chance of failure? The stronger your equipment, the more people will target you if it is exposed. Only by crossing the divine threshold at level 100 could the form of life itself change. Zuko's many years at level 99 were another reminder that possessing an advancement route was not set this as already becoming a god. The staff's information displayed one function he had never examined closely. Jang Foam first entered an empty training booth, locked the temporary door, and activated Magic Shield. Celestial Demon Staff, Legendary rank, required level 40 Spirit, plus 1,250 luck, plus 650 critical chance, plus 60%. The system currently displayed only the first crystal's result, and did not reveal whether identical crystals could be socketed repeatedly, or how amplification would stack. Jang Foam currently had 1,637 luck, far beyond an ordinary level 40 player. The Celestial Demon Staff was a legendary growth weapon, and would not be replaced by ordinary equipment for a long time. Red light followed the patterns along the staff upward, and condensed into an extremely small flame mark at its head. Only after clarifying the coverage could he avoid applying the 20% increase incorrectly to non-fire skills during battle calculations. To him, the crystal's value was not the additional damage from one cast, but its coverage of the entire fire skill chain. Samples of the black contaminant had been transferred to a military laboratory. If black lines appeared on his skin, he experienced uncontrolled impulses or abnormal mental echoes developed. Jang Foam had not touched the black blood directly in the forest, and it had not penetrated his shield. Returning privately to investigate the scene would not be responsible. It would only add one uncontrolled variable to the sealed zone. The black blood and Hamid forest had been classified as a high-risk abyssal contaminant, and the eastern outskirts were now under temporary restriction. Crimson Blood Army answered directly to Commander Yin Shiwa, and was one of JoJo's 18 core legions. It reported only verified facts, and made no mention of the Lung Father and Son's confessions, or his. The notice also said the Abyssal Den had been abnormally quiet lately, and Banner Commander Shou and Zhao had already reinforced the frontier. The Crimson Blood Army had been publicly searching for Sovereign, hoping to contact the newcomer who killed the Death Lord and claimed the world first kill. They had clearly realized that widening the search any further would only help an enemy narrow down the possibilities. At the very least, the Crimson Blood Army's current response proved that the Black Blood records he submitted last night had not been shelved. If the Black Blood, the Serpent Emperor, or a Crossbow instance ever exceeded what he could handle alone, official forces would be essential partners. The instructor stood outside the formation, and his face darkened the moment he saw him. Class 14 had clearly changed formation, and Xiao Zhang was standing at the front taking attendance. Zhang Fo, where were you when the class assembled the skill Treasury? Admitting a mistake did not erase its consequences, especially when class training could involve real instances. Jang Foam made you acting class monitor because of how you responded under pressure. What truly mattered was remembering that at the academy, he had to check the schedule before he acted. Only after the instructor confirmed everything were the class monitor permissions removed from his badge. You lost the class monitor job after one afternoon? He had not expected a serious warning from him, and his smile paused. The girl beside him was about to speak again, but he had already shut down the academy terminal. Shou, Jang, and the girl had indeed followed him into the game, but they were only level 18 and could not even pass into a level 30 area. Shou Jang tried to use his class privileges to view his status screen, only to read what the concealment veil allowed him to see. Whether Dragon Soul Battlefield contained a boss, and whether that boss could be marked for an instant kill, were both unknown. Jang Foam had originally planned to enter the level 40 Chaos Demon Sea, but beside it stood a newly opened portal, Dragon Soul Battlefield. Possible drops, level 35 to 45 equipment, weapons, elemental crystals, accessories, and rare items. The system says level 40, but the man in that footage was at least level 60. Jang Foam watched the entire recording outside the gate and saved the shape of the gray fissure to his private log before continuing through the entry rules. When officials opened a path inside, Juju lost 110,000 battle general, 2,000 battle generals, 800 battle generals, and 21 junior generals. The Instinct's level 40 recommendation could not account for the risk of the gray zones. Compared with the repeatedly cleared Chaos Demon Sea, an unknown map offered a higher potential return. He and his companion were stopped outside the level barrier, and the smile had disappeared from his face. The portal would publicly confirm whether someone met its level requirement, but reveal nothing else. Jang Foam did not explain how he had leveled or demonstrate his damage. If you leave voluntarily, rewards will be issued according to your current survival time and kill record. Jang Foam read each line and confirmed there was no requirement to clear every enemy or kill a boss. The 10 million gold entry fee was steep, but still acceptable compared with the potential crystals and rare items. Jang Foam moved 2 steps closer to the center, before looking down at the system interface. In a place like this, seeing the exit and confirming that it worked were two separate things. The teleportation point was only about 10 feet square, and the return rune behind him was still glowing. Blue areas allowed gathering and hunting, and red markers indicated boss spawn points. Huge gray zones at the edge of the map had no route data, and the system repeatedly warned him not to enter them. Once a real-world ruin had been explored, Sanctuary would generate a corresponding instance within each nation's territory. If the boss's strength proved manageable, he would turn toward the red zone last. This sequence was slower than charging straight toward the rewards, but it kept an unknown mechanism from taking him out in a single move. She had long blonde hair, and the vine-shaped flying device behind her was slowly folding shut. Level 40, and you still don't have a flying device. Hand over something valuable, and he can carry you across this section. She drew her weapon, and the system immediately logged an act of extortion. The vine device left trails of green light every time she turned. She could equip a level 50 flying device, so she had to be at least level 50 herself. Her attack had already locked on. Critical hit, the full health pendant's true damage, and eternal power all resolved together. Moondance Wind Chime chose to break hard, but the top of the wall still hit her. The 95% activation chance had paid off, and the fear effect had also passed the level gap check. Jang Foam would not stake the outcome solely on a talent's probability. After the system confirmed that she had initiated hostilities, and that his kill was self-defense, he received no additional red name status. As the corpse was about to dissolve into return light, he activated Midas Touch. This use of Midas Touch targeted a dead enemy, so it did not consume either of his 2 remaining living target instant kills. The instant's terrain would not forgive a single misplaced step while he adapted. The vines wrapped around the ice and continued searching for the vanished aura of their former owner. If Moondance Wind Chime had managed to unequip it before she died, the item would have returned with her. Jang Foam was only level 41 and could not equip it yet. Once he reached level 50, he would no longer need to detour around stone pillars, seas of fire, and broken platforms. His first reward in the instance was not a boss drop, but a flying device potentially worth more than 10 billion gold. Jang Foam drank some water, slowed his descent, and found the yellow point on the map at the next platform. Jang Foam recorded 1 damage interval, confirmed that his mana regeneration could cover the shield's upkeep, and entered the shop's range. The shop was protected by the instance, and player skills automatically failed at the entrance. Jang Foam was about to leave when 3 crystals of different colors in the corner caught his eye. You can install as many of the same type as the equipment sockets will support. Fire crystals could further increase the Celestial Demon Staff's fire amplification, while the Life Crystal was worth saving for survival gear. Jang Foam pointed out that none of the crystal's qualities could be identified, that socketing carried a chance of failure, and that a package deal would let the merchant recover a large sum of gold. Jang Foam took out the Celestial Demon Staff first. Celestial Demon Staff available sockets: 5 fire magic power plus 20% dash plus 60%. Raising his maximum health by 20% would improve his survivability and increase Eternal Power's bonus damage at the same time. Even after accounting for targeting and animations intervals in real combat, his single target damage within 1 second could reach tens of millions. It only meant that when his attacks landed reliably, an ordinary health bar would not last long. Jang Foam had not yet seen the monsters in the blue snow zone, and any wide area flames could engulf the supply point. Match the system's serial number before placing it in the trade window. After 1 million gold was deducted, the jar entered his exclusive pickup state. The flying device was still grayed out because he had not reached its level requirement, but it allowed advanced enchanting. The device would not become usable until level 50, but the health amplification was now written into the equipment. The 20% increase to maximum health would also be magnified by Constitution, his pendant, and future permanent growth. The second and third rolled out immediately afterward, and the system combined the identical items into a stack of 18. Your luck has altered the clay jar's reward. Experience potion restriction, level 50 and below. Effect grants 2,560,000 experience when consumed. Jang Foam could sell them now for a high price, but the cloud-climbing demon vine was already in his inventory. These potions had arrived at a better time than any equipment could have. Jang Foam consumed all 18 potions one after another, climbing from level 41 to level 50. Jang Foam was still below level 50 when he used the final bottle and crossed the threshold only after its experience resolved. The remainder stayed in his level 50 progress bar, without raising him another level. Spirit was the common foundation for fire damage, maximum mana, his shield, and the soul rings targeting. Jang Foam confirmed the effects separately at levels 10, 30, and 60 to make sure no unsuitable mechanical conversion appeared along the way. So he chose to secure its 5% life drain and higher damage rather than raise both skills evenly to level 40. Leveling had not made an unknown instance safe. Before entering the blue zone in earnest, he still had to confirm the upgraded range, control, and cost of both high-level spells. Adding the critical hit, Sunlong Force, and the fire crystals would be enough to eliminate most elites at his level instantly. Equipping the cloud-climbing demon vine would add another 60 spirit, and the actual damage would refresh with his status screen. Additional effect drains 5% of each target's health to restore your own. The lingering flames continued dealing skill damage, but they did not drain health again every second. Jang Foam made the cooldown complete notification visible, so that he would never mistake it for a continuously available skill. The life crystal first used his all attribute and fixed health bonuses to calculate the base value, then increased the total maximum by 20%. The vine spread behind him, like several flexible supports, and lifted his body as the platform slowly receded beneath his feet. Jang Foam immediately shifted his center of gravity backward, but the vines needed a short braking distance. The control delay was the risk exposed by his first test flight. When he deactivated it voluntarily, the vines provided 1 second of slow fall rather than vanishing instantly. As long as he did not run out of mana, the cloud-climbing demon vine could maintain flight indefinitely. Weapons, equipment, and flying devices could accumulate growth points through combat experience or by devouring other equipment. The Celestial Demon Staff needed 100 billion growth points to complete its current stage. The 100 billion figure referred not to gold, but to growth points converted from combat experience and materials. Before confirmation, the system had clearly warned him that the mount would be consumed permanently. The cloud-climbing demon vine needed only 1 billion growth points for its current stage. High-tier equipment could not be filled quickly with vast quantities of low-tier items. The ground here was far hotter than in the safe zone, and his health began dropping by small irregular amounts as Jang Foam scheduled water at fixed intervals instead of waiting for his health to fall. Jang Foam rose beyond its attack range and read its status screen. The sound wave struck his shield directly and briefly knocked the cloud-climbing demon vine off course. It was safer to test his resistance to disruption at a survivable height before attacking. Only after confirming the effective range of all 3 melee methods did he prepare his attack. More than 3 million base damage passed through the fire amplification and true damage calculations, erasing its 3 million health instantly. An ordinary zone in Dragon Soul Battlefield was already spawning high-level platinum rank elites. You killed a Dragon Soul champion. Combat rewarded both character experience and growth for the selected item, proving that placing the cloud-climbing demon vine in the growth slot did not prevent him from equipping it normally. His luck rose again, but this use targeted a corpse, so he still had 2 living target instant kills remaining. The cloud-climbing demon vine allowed him to avoid most magma fissures and observe enemy formations from above. These level 40 platinum rank elites had 3.5 million health and slightly higher defenses than the first one he fought. Each had 3.22 million health and could use blazing arrow, multi-shot, and explosive arrow. If he relied only on altitude to avoid the champions, he would put himself at the archer's ideal attack angle. Jang Foam did not know whether blood sacrifice increased damage, shielding, or resurrection. When he moved left, the entire unit turned with him, always keeping the rear ranks screened behind the champions. The Dragon Souls fallen on this battlefield had retained more than their skills. It preserved his flight advantage, while giving him a place to land if the cloud-climbing demon vine lost control. The platform was wide enough for him to strafe, but it had only one exit facing away from the fire. When the horde noticed him, the archers drew first, and shields appeared before the mages. An explosive arrow landed at the platform's front edge a moment later, and the blast pushed the vines a short distance toward the sea of fire. Its 280-yard area could cover the entire formation, and the number of targets would maximize the value of its 5% life drain. It blocked the archer's line of sight without interrupting the ground coverage of Scorch the Heavens, Boil the Seas. The Dragon Soul Mage's magic shields lasted longer, but they could not block the full health pendant's true damage or eternal power. Several mages used blood sacrifice to strengthen their shields, and the archers at the edge of the area drew their bows again. The edge of the blast struck his shield, but did not push the vines toward the sea of fire again. The two control effects resolved at different times, giving him room to stabilize his flight again and confirm the archer's positions. The mages might use another blood sacrifice. The cloud-climbing demon vine veered noticeably when struck by an explosion and scorched the heavens. Jang Foam did not immediately use Midas Touch on every corpse. The gate did not enter a gray zone as it rose, but the map automatically added a translucent marker. It classified the gate as a new exploration entrance. Jang Foam did not touch the stone gate alone. They stopped 5 yards away and made their party information public instead of approaching the core immediately. They can handle the outer nodes, but the core requires authorization from the person who triggered it by killing the monsters. Luang pointed to the golden pattern before him. The kill record from the Horde had already bound the core permission to him. An ancient temple stood deep inside the hidden realm, and the temple contained the key to a treasure gate. Jang Foam compared the gate's patterns with the map rubbing and confirmed at minimum that they came from the same set of ruins. The hidden realm clue belongs to the Liu family. Luang nodded and entered the terms into the party contract. When every node lit in sequence, the gate emitted a deep grinding noise, and the hidden realm passage finally opened. The gate paused once, when the right-hand node overloaded. They swiftly surrounded the passage, and their leader planted his weapon in front of the stone gate. The system shows that he held primary permission, and their party activated the outer nodes. The man displayed no contract or map. They had opened the gate, and primary control remained in his hands. With the hidden realm behind him, Sovereign leveled the celestial demon staff and stood ready to defend the gate he had opened.